You can't see the Russians massing in the forest, but you certainly know they're there. Tens of thousands gathering in the trees, something the members of Ukraine's 32nd Brigade could never match. They took us to a command center a few kilometers from the front, east of the city of Kharkiv. And we found long faces and hard stares in their cabin.
They are storming us, breaching the barbed wire, so they can pass right through.
The Russians used to assault their positions once or twice a day, but now the attacks are continuous.
At the moment, for every shell that Ukraine fires, how many come back from the Russians?
1 to 10.
1 to 10. 1 to 10.
Their drones capture the imbalance. Here, a Russian vehicle runs into a mine. Their soldiers scurry to the trees, but they know the enemy will return. The numbers are in their favor.
They have their aircraft, helicopters, planes, laser bombs, grads. They use everything along our front line.
They've told us we've got to move out. It's too dangerous. Cluster bombs, mortar fire, artillery. The forest is alive with this stuff, and they've told us to go.
President Zelensky is desperate to rearm the Ukrainian military, but the members of this anti-tank unit were trying to make their only weapon work. Screwdrivers and a hammer deployed to bring a Soviet-era bazooka back to life. Something they achieved eventually.
Most of the time it works, but sometimes we have problems.
The commander uses it to fire at Russian troops and says it can be deadly. Problem is, he's barely got any grenades.
Have you got enough ammunition?
No, not enough. We've got enough for 12, 13, 15 minutes. That's it.
After 12 minutes, after that?
We'll take an AK and shoot with it.
The pressure here is building, as is the collective cost. We met a family dentist, now charged with evacuating casualties from the front line. But many don't survive, he says. It's taking too long to reach them.
This is due to the mortar fire, the shelling. Sometimes it's impossible to reach their positions. It can take 2 or 3 days, even more.
The dentist dragged the body of a 43-year-old soldier to this medical center. The remains of a 49-year-old followed later. There are no good days here, he told me. A generation of Ukrainians are dying on the battlefield. Their fellow citizens are trying to hold the line. John Sparks, Sky News in Kharkiv region.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. As always, first I want to give all the praises and the glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah, Kodash. Yahweh is the name of the Most High God. Yahweh Shai is the name of the Son. Double honors to the apostles and to the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to my fellow Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters who have been edified by the truth of the scriptures of the Bible, of who we are, the true children of Israel, and who the nations are. And to the hopeful elect, the 144,000, I say shalom to you, all praises and glory. So, just a quick one. As you can see from the title, what America's media, mainstream media, MSM, what America's mainstream media is not telling you about the war in Ukraine. What America's mainstream media is not telling you about the war in Ukraine. As you can see, it's all over for them. It's been over for them for a little while now. But as you can see from this report that we've got on our news in the UK, in the United Kingdom, yesterday, this report came out yesterday on Sky News in the United Kingdom. It's all over for the Ukrainians. It's all over for them. as I've always said, the Russians are just getting ready for the real war, the war of Armageddon, in the valley of Jehoshaphat, in the valley of decision. Gog, in the land of Magog, the Russians are getting ready to team up with the Persians, the Ethiopians, the Libyans, the Chinese, the North Koreans, and the rest of the Arab nations to come against Israel and America in the Middle East. That's the war that we're heading to. This war here has just gotten this war in Ukraine was like a dry run for the war that the Russians are going to fight in the Middle East, because they know they're going to have to go head to head with the Americans. It's no ifs, no buts, no maybe. So what we see going on here in Ukraine is a dry run. This is what Ezekiel, the prophet Ezekiel, spoke about in Ezekiel 38. Let's quickly bring out one scripture. I'm not going to spend long on it. I just kind of want to bring it to the forefront to let you know that your media in the United States of America and in those European countries around the world, they are lying about what's going on in Ukraine, as you can quietly see. It's all over for them. The Russians are just getting ready for this war here. The prophecy about Gog and the future invasion of Israel. Gog is Russia, as we've always told you, all right? They are getting ready for this war here. What's going on in Ukraine is the Russians are getting battle hardened. Basically, they're getting battle hardened. It's like a rehearsal for this war here that they're going to go into in the Middle East. Now, we have been telling you from the apostles of Great Millstone going down, the elders have been telling you this for decades, not years, but for decades. The apostles have been singing this tune, singing this song regarding the scriptures of this war of Armageddon that's going to take place. So they're totally lost. They're finished in Ukraine. The Ukrainians are finished. They're going to have to concede all that ground. They're going to have to come to the peace table, and the Russians are going to take what they want, and they're going to decide who stays in power in Ukraine. The Russians are going to decide that, not the Americans or NATO, right? Or the United Kingdom. The Russians are going to decide that, because they're the ones that are in control in Ukraine. It's as simple as that. The Russians, right now, Russia has become a militarized industrial complex. The whole country has become a militarized industrial complex in preparation for this war here that you see on the screen, the prophecy of the invasion of Israel. This is what they're getting ready for. And this is why you see, when it says there, Son of Man, set thy face against Gog, right? The land of Magog. Gog is the Russians. The land of Magog is the land of Rosh, right? The chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesies against them. The chief prince, the word chief prince, as we always tell you, as you know, it means Russia, all right? You go to the word chief, edification, 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 it means Rosh, all right? Land of Gog, the chief prince, right? That word there means Rosh. It's talking about the land of Russia, Rosh. If we type the word Rosh in the Bible, the word Rosh, the only place it shows up, that actual word Rosh, like that, is in Genesis 46, verse 21. If we go to that word Rosh, Genesis, you can see it's the same word as the word Rosh here. Rosh, Rosh. See? Rosh. See that? Same word. R-O-S-H-E. The exact same word. All right?
Strong's H, 7218. Ramath Negev. Ramath Negev.
One way to pronounce it.
Second entry. Rosh.
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 Rosh. That's the word there. All right? Rosh. As you can see. Now, here it is again here. Rosh. As you can see. Rosh again. Genesis
Strong's
46.
H, 7220. Rosh. Rosh.
It means head. And as you can see here, I showed you this before, but just for edification's sakes, Ezekiel 38 and 2 and 3, Ezekiel 39 and 1, of a northern nation, right, a country from the north, mentioned with Tubal and Meshech, undoubtedly the Russians, who are mentioned by the Byzantine writers of the 10th century under the name, all right, dwelling in the north of Taurus. These are the Russians that are coming down from the land of Magog, all right, as you can see. So this is what's happening. And I say, thus says the Lord God, behold, I am against thee, O Gog. He's against the Russians. He's not for the Russians because they are Edomites, predominantly Edomites, all right? the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. And I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth. And this is what you see happening right now. The Lord has put hooks in the Russians' jaws. They've turned them back to the old Soviet Union power. They're in Ukraine. They're in Ukraine getting battle hardened. It's a rehearsal for the real war of Armageddon. This is what they're doing. The Lord has turned them back. And all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of their army, their military, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. And then they're going to come together with these guys here, Persia, Ethiopia, Libya, with them, all of them with shield and helmet. The Persians are the Iranians, the Ethiopians, Libya, Goma, all of them bands, the House of Togarmah, the North Quarters, and all these bands, and many people with thee. These are the nations that are going to be coming up against the Russians. Now, the Persians are going to be the main allies of the Russians. And like I said, it's all over for the Ukrainians. They're just getting ready for this war here. The Persians are going to be the main allies of the Russians. All right, I just want to quickly show you another little news article here. Now listen up.
The war in Ukraine is about to complete 2 years, and the end is still nowhere in sight. And if anything, Russia is only beefing up its arsenal, all while Ukraine struggles to get more arms and aid. And in the latest, Iran has sent around 400 powerful ballistic missiles to Russia. 400. These are surface-to-surface missiles. The consignment includes many missiles from the Fateh 110 family, such as the Zolfagar. This road-mobile missile can strike targets up to 700 kilometers away. The deal was finalized late last year between Iranian and Russian military and security officials. The shipments began in early January. So far, there have been at least 4 of them. There would be more in the coming weeks. Some are missiles being sent by ship via the Caspian Sea. Others are coming in by plane. You see, Iran and Russia have been friends for decades, but the Ukraine war has brought them closer than ever. The two have become brothers in arms. The missile deal is a clear example here. For Russia, the partnership has yielded Iranian-made drones. In the year 2022, Russian officials quietly clinched a deal with Iran to supply hundreds of Shahed drones. Russia has extensively used them to batter Ukrainian cities and civilian infrastructure. Iran initially denied striking a drone deal with Russia, but later admitted it had provided a small number before the war started. But various reports have revealed it was no small number, and the supply has continued for long after the invasion. In return, Russia has reportedly passed to Iran many of the high-technology Western weapon systems captured in Ukraine. And this has enabled Iran to evaluate, copy, and develop countermeasures. The flourishing friendship goes beyond the battlefields of Ukraine. On the diplomatic front, Russian President Vladimir Putin has stuck close to home due to the war, but he made his first visit outside the post-Soviet space to Tehran in July. This was for a major summit with Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. And since then, there have been various high-level diplomatic visits. President Putin also met his Iranian counterpart, Ibrahim Raisi, in December. And during this meeting, Raisi described Russia as a friendly nation and said that the talks will create new favorable conditions for cooperation. And he meant it, by the way, as only a month later, Iranian missiles began to land in Russia. Now, on the economic front, both countries are busy building up extensive new trade networks. This includes supply routes that can send military equipment from Iran into Russia through river and railway links, also through the Caspian Sea. The countries are also concocting plans to evade Western sanctions. As for the intelligence front, in August 2022, Russia agreed to launch a new Iranian satellite into orbit. U.S. officials speculated that the satellite was likely being parked over Ukraine for spying. Iran, however, claimed it was for scientific research. But at this point, we all know what that actually means.
So, as you can see, the ties between the Persians and Gog, Iran and Russia, flourishing friendship. Then the Russians are even providing the Iranians with the weapons that the NATO weapons that they are capturing from the Ukrainians. They're sending it to the Iranians for them to be able to recreate those weapons and know how to build defenses against those type of weapons. Basically, the Iranians have been providing the Russians with weapons, so much weapons to fight that war in like the drones, because the Iranians have got a massive drone program like Turkey within that country, and probably half of the drones that the Russians are using to defeat the Ukrainians come from Iran. So that's the partnership. Why is there that partnership? Because it's Bible prophecy. They've militarized their countries. They're building routes between Russia and Ukraine for them to be able to send weapons between the countries, between the two countries, from the Caspian Sea all the way to the Persian Gulf to Iran. They're building railway links, overground, from Iran to Russia. Planes. She said it all. They're transporting weapons. The Russians are providing the Iranians with technology, and you know the Russians have been helping the Iranians with their nuclear technology as well. You got to know that. The Iranians are building a new nuclear power plant, a new nuclear facility in Iran that's providing more weapons-grade uranium to build nuclear weapons. So they're getting ready. They're getting ready. The Americans are sitting down eating donuts, watching the Super Bowl, and NBA, NBL, Major Baseball League, NBA, National Basketball Association, the Super Bowl, eating donuts and watching Friends. The Russians are getting ready. They're digging in. They're rehearsing the acts of war in Ukraine in preparation for the Great War of Armageddon. So, when we go back here, I can't stay too long because I've got to be somewhere in a short while. When we go back here, Ezekiel 38 verse 4, it says, "Now will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws, the Russians. Now will bring thee forth, the Russians, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great nation with bucklers, a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, the Iranians, Ethiopia, Libya, these North African countries and East African countries, with them, all of them shield and helmet. Goma, Turkey, and all his bands, and the house of Togarmah, ex-Soviet Union states, of the North Quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared." What are they doing? They are preparing. "And prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them." Russia is going to be a guard unto these nations in preparation for the war of Armageddon. Revelation 16 and 16. "And after many days thou shalt be visited." These are those days that the Lord is visiting the Russians and his allies. "In the latter years," these are the latter years that the Bible is speaking about. "Thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, against the governments of Israel, and against America." Because America is going to be the main defender of Israel, "which have been always waste, but is brought forth out of nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm into the Middle East. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land of the Middle East, thou and all thy bands and many people with thee. Thus says the Lord God, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into their mind, and thou shalt have an evil thought." Nuclear. It's going to go from conventional to nuclear. "And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages," the United States of America. They believe that they're untouchable in America. That's the land of unwalled villages. "I will go to them that are at rest." Pride, they're at rest. Isaiah 47. that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates. They believe they're safe because they're going to keep telling themselves the war is all the way over there in the Middle East. We're 4,000 miles away. Can't touch us. We're in America. We're a superpower. We're undefeatable. Well, it's coming. To do what? To take a spoil and to take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people, listen carefully, that are gathered out of the nations. America is known for the melting pot, right? The land that was desolate, now it's inhabited. Colonization, the pilgrims, the Europeans that came there. It was once, didn't have these bright lights, big cities. So it was considered desolate. It was just the Native American Indians living there, who are the 10 lost tribes of Israel. Then the Europeans come, then the Edomites came, and they inhabited the place, and they built the big cities. And then the different peoples from the different nations started to come to America, and it became a place known of people that are gathered out of the nations, the melting pot, which have gotten cattle and goods, riches that dwell in the midst of the land. So this is what they're preparing for. The Russians are preparing for the war. Joel 3, is it 3 and 10? The Russians are preparing for this. Joel 3 and 10. They're beating their plowshares into swords. This is what they're playing for. Proclaim this amongst the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak, the Iranians, say, I am strong. They are strong. The Russians are backing them. Assemble yourselves. And these are all the other nations that are considered weak. The North Koreans, all right? The Ethiopians. They're all saying we're strong there. They're no longer afraid of America, Babylon the Great. They're no longer afraid of Babylon the Great, these smaller nations, these lesser nations. From the North Koreans to the Persians, the Iranians, to the Ethiopians, to the Turks. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathens, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. The mighty ones are the angels, because they're going to come in the midst of this war, but they're going to put the spirit on these heathen nations to go to battle in the valley of decision. Let the heathens be wakened. All of these heathen. See, this ain't our war. This ain't the war for the children of Israel. This is not the children of our war is a spiritual war. This is the war of the heathens. As you can see, they're going to go to war. We're going to get our deliverance out from this war. It's going to come our deliverance, the true children of Israel. But this is a war of the heathens, not the war of the Most High's children. We're going to stand on the sidelines fighting a spiritual battle against these devils. But this is their war. This physical war is their war. The angels of the Lord and Yahushua will come down to intervene in the midst of this war, to deliver the elect, the remnant of Israel, and then to subjugate and take down the nations. Then we're going to take part in this war. Let the heathens be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, the valley of decision. Jehoshaphat means God's judgment. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. The harvest is ripe. They're ready. Come, get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow. Parabolic language, for the nations are all ready for this fight. The harvest is ripe. The Russians are battle hardened. The Iranians are battle hardened. The Americans are going to join. The Israelis are now getting battle hardened for this war. The harvest is ripe. You can see. We look at the world. The field is the world. The harvest is ripe. Come ye, get down, for the press is full, the fats overflow. For their wickedness, whose wickedness? The Edomites, the so-called white man, and the wickedness of this world and this kingdom is great. The wickedness of Babylon the Great, the United States of America, it's great, family. The wickedness of the so-called white man is great. The wickedness of this system is great. It's everywhere. It's a disease. It's penetrated every crevice and every corner. Every pores on your skin is being penetrated by this wickedness. That's why the Lord said, if he didn't shorten those days, there would be no flesh left to save. Multitudes in the valley of decision, the valley of Jehoshaphat, the valley of judgment. For the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. And that's where we're coming to. The day of the Lord is near. So I'm going to finish it there. Didn't want to spend long, boys. So I'm going to bring that to the forefront. I want to give all the praises and the glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham, Rakah, Kodash. As you can see from today's title, what American media is not telling you about the war in Ukraine. All praises and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. As I always like to say, keep praying, keep safe, repent, and hold on to this truth, family. Because our salvation is going to be based on our faith. Do we believe what the Lord's prophets are telling you? We are the Lord's prophets. The word prophet just means to speak before. We are speaking before these events take place. We are breaking down the scriptures for the elect to understand and to warn the world, to let the masses know what's truly coming. Not hugs and roses and kisses of Father Christmas. It's Yahweh Ba'ashem.